Well, we've only reviewed 3 books in our list of recommended summer reads, but they're proving so popular with our viewers, that's you, that the novels are knocking each other off the #1 bestseller slot. It's amazing. The publishing world hasn't seen anything like it. Last week's book, The Island, has just replaced the previous one, which was The Righteous Men, as Britain's bestseller. All the rest are riding high in the main chart, so huge congratulations to all the authors. You richly deserve your success. So on to this week's title. It's called My Best Friend's Girl, and it's by Dorothy Koomson. It's an unashamedly chick-lit paperback, this, but I must admit, I still enjoyed it immensely, and I did have to dab away a little tear as early as page 2. What a wuss. Anyway, down to Italy and on air for this week's Celebrity Review.
I'm here holidaying on the stunning Italian island of Ischia, and the summer read Richard and Judy have given me is My Best Friend's Girl. I loved it. It was an instant grab from the first page. Bit of a tearjerker though, especially if you were one of the ones that cried at beaches or the last episode of Cold Feet. Let me tell you the story. Cameron and Adele have been best friends since university. You know, the type of friends that do everything together, tell each other everything. Only Adele has a bit of a secret. A few years ago, she did the unthinkable and slept with Cameron's fiancé, Nate. And worse still, he's the father of her 3-year-old daughter, Tegan. Cameron discovers this betrayal just before her wedding. She leaves Nate and vows never to talk to either of them again. 2 years later, Adele writes to Cameron to tell her she is dying and wants her to adopt Tegan. Despite the lies and the deceit, Cameron realises she still loves Adele and Tegan. However, she leaves it too late to let Adele know she forgives her. Riddled with guilt and grief, she decides to take Tegan on. Cameron, who has never wanted any children of her own, is surprised how quickly she learns to live and communicate with her new daughter. The bond between them grows strong. Tegan also forges a friendship with Cameron's boss, Luke. Eventually, Cameron and Luke become lovers. Then, out of the blue, Nate shows up, who is blissfully unaware that Tegan is his daughter. Cameron is forced to choose between the 2 men in her life and do the right thing. I can see why this was one of Richard and Judy's summer reads. As the mother of a young girl myself, it certainly struck a few chords. Even though this book is fictional, people like Adele lose their battle with leukemia every day. I certainly cried. I definitely laughed. I thoroughly enjoyed watching Cameron learn to believe in herself. Definitely recommend it, especially in this sunshine.
Well, a lovely girl, a lovely island, and I have to say, I think it's a lovely book. Actress Sian Reeves from Cutting It and EastEnders and our old friend Larry Turner have also read My Best Friend's Girl for us as well. I mean, I can't not say it, and I said it a couple of times. It made me cry, you know? I mean, I don't do chicklet.
Which bits made you cry?
Well, page 2.
Yeah, it starts off at quite a high level, doesn't it? You know, you've got cancer, you've got death.
Yeah.
Hello. We all know Lowry, but...
Yeah. Go on, Sean.
Oh, no, she's touched on a lot of subjects, and even the cover made me slightly nervous, because I've got a little girl, and I was like, oh, God, what's it going to be about?
How old's your one?
She's 10.
Right.
Just left primary.
And are you a single mum?
Yeah.
So, OK, so you've got a 10-year-old girl. You must, all parents, especially mothers, I think, worry themselves sick when their children are little, if anything happens to them, who looks after them.
And
so
that's why this was really sort of poignant to me in the end, because I've made a facility in my will where 3 of my best friends will take part in her upbringing, because I think it's really important that, you know, you choose your friends because you like the way they bring up their children, they know you, they know the fun you have with yours, you know, you see them every day, don't you, as you've grown up. And, you know, it makes me a bit sad. But I've gone, yes, I want you to pass that on to them, I want you to pass this on to them.
Well, don't go and die on us then.
I know, but I do have a bit of
So you identified with it?
Yeah, very much.
With this.
And I thought it was great.
Yeah. You really liked it?
Yeah, very much, very much.
What about you, Larry?
I think it's an interesting book because it has, I mean, death is a difficult subject and it handles it quite well. There's also a subject of race. Initially, I don't think I'm giving away to say that the heroine is black, and I didn't pick that up till quite a long way through the book, and that was clever.
If you look closely at the cover, it's obvious.
It's kind of a
Yeah,
giveaway,
but I
isn't it?
didn't notice that.
I didn't
No, I
notice
didn't.
I don't
But
know.
she doesn't talk about that at all. It just emerges midway through.
Well, it emerges
It's
when
an
she
extra
it
twist.
emerges when she's the target of a racist sort of outburst in the supermarket. You know.
Yeah.
Your mummy can't be your... That
That can't be your mummy because she's black.
She's not your real mummy.
I think that, you know, I did think that that child in that book is quite incredibly well behaved. I think my children wouldn't be that nice all the way
But
through
that's
the book,
because because she has in the early part of the book, when her mother's dying, she has to go back and spend time with her mother's parents, who abuse her. So she has a horrible time. So she thinks from then on, if she does anything wrong, she's going to get sent back to them.
I do think it's got very interesting moral dilemmas. I mean, for me, when I was a parent before all my girlfriends were, and they were all, would I have let them bring up my child? Absolutely not.
Really? Well, who would have brought
that's
up
what's
your
in, because
child?
she has to make the transition from being the high heel, go shopping kind of girl to being the mother, and that's a very interesting transition. There's one point where she goes for dinner, and all the way I'm thinking, but what's happened to the daughter? What's happened to the child? And suddenly she realises, oh my goodness, I've forgotten to pick the kid up at school.
But
I thought that was well handled.
Yeah.
I think, it is definitely chick lit. I mean, and which is why I'm surprised you liked it so much, because you normally don't like
that's
books
the
like
strength
that.
of our book club, with respect to the book club. It's that it encourages you, makes you, if you're going to play a part in it, read books you wouldn't normally choose. I would never normally buy a chick lit book, but I read this one, I had a ball with it. It was great.
And it's, but it's not the normal kind of. It deals with much bigger issues.
It's deeper than
It's
that.
grown up.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was just a girl with lots of cats, you know, then it would be really dull. It's a grown up. It's trying to kind of bridge into a slightly different genre, isn't it? I think it's also really impressive as a first novel. I mean, that's what we have to remember. All of these books are first novels, aren't they?
I'm not sure if it's
No, it's her first
She has
book.
been published.
I was told this is her first book.
This is
certainly a breakthrough.
It's
It's a
what we
breakthrough
call a
novel.
breakthrough novel.
Yeah.
We have two criteria for the novels in this thing. They're either first published or a sort of proper first breakthrough that they think is going to do really well.
Yeah.
So the other two...
I can see this as a TV drama.
Oh, very
I think
much
it will
so.
do
And I think,
really well.
or a film. I mean, it's got so many nice little touches. Like it opens on the day of her birthday, and she's a single girl. She's planning a great night out. For the first time, she's going to put gold sparkly stuff down her cleavage. She's got it all worked out. You know, wear the highest heels she can manage. And at the end of the day, she's got a kid under her arm. You know? I mean, it's a very powerful sort of metaphor, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely worth going out and getting this, because I remember like 5 years ago when we would say chick lit, you know, it was really at its peak and it was fantastic, and I was really voraciously reading all of it. But this, you know, you shouldn't just say this is just chick literature and you should buy it. This is better than that.
Yeah.
And I think told very well, and touches men. I felt like I'd had a brilliant evening with 2 bottles of wine, talking to my best girlfriend about death, marriage, sex, men, children. You know, it felt everything had been satisfied.
Well, that's chick lit, isn't it? That's the best of chick lit.
So what you're
That's
saying is,
you
for the
want to
last week, I've been an honorary girl.
Yes, you have.
I see.
I must admit, you cried, but I didn't.
But you know I cry. I mean, I'm a blubber. I mean, I'm happy to say Churchill was a blubber. When he took on a new PA in 1943, he's on record as saying to her, now sit down, my dear, and I have to warn you, I'm a terrible blubber. I well up at everything and anything. So I don't feel too ashamed of it, but I do. I can't move.
But I also think
You don't
that
notice
the
much,
male
though.
characters are very believable in this book.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see particularly one in particular male character, whose relationship with the child is stronger than the female character. So I think it's quite generous to men in this. It's not all men are awful.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
jolly
thank you
good.
both very much indeed. And every week we give the book to a group of family or friends to take away and read on holiday. This week our reviewers are a party of ladies having a very nice time on a yoga holiday on La Gomera, which is one of the Canary Islands.
As a beach book, a holiday book, I would thoroughly recommend it.
It made me cry in places.
Yeah,
and
quite sad, wasn't it?
It brought out a lot of emotions that I thought, I don't usually get this when I read a book, and it made me think of my children.
When the book was discussing Tegan's relationship with her mother, when her mother died, Tegan's grief, all of that, I was on the verge of tears with a little one rolling down my cheek. That was very powerful stuff.
Whether in the hospital at the very beginning, to be honest, and just the strength that Adele was showing as she knew she was dying, but just keeping the strength and the laughter going, I thought that was a really lovely scene and quite moving, quite emotional.
I read the book in a day and a half, and yeah, I didn't want to put it down. It was a real page turner.
It's a fast-paced, easy read, which is what you want from a holiday book. And the person that I would recommend this to would be a single girl going away on holiday and who just wanted to relax by the beach.
Or a 50-year-old man who cries easily.